Hello. Hey, I'm Jennifer O'Brien. Welcome to the Jennifer O'Brien Show. I'm the host. That's my name. That's the show. And I'm excited to be here with you all today. And let's see. I was going to have a guest on for the show this week. However, uh, that guest is in jail right now. So unfortunately, that did not work out. So, and the reason I kind of doing this podcast today, despite the fact that the guest that I was going to have on isn't here, is I kind of wanted to talk about why. I was going to be interviewing Pastor Artur Pawlowski. He's a pastor in Canada. And I kind of reached out last week when I was watching everything happen with the Freedom Convoy. And I was very inspired by actually a sermon he was preaching to the truckers. So I reached out and kind of shot in the dark. And I didn't think he'd say yes, to be quite honest. I was like, oh, I'm just going to see. And he said yes. I was like, whoa, okay. But he said for this week. And unfortunately, a couple days after he said yes, he was arrested. And if you don't know who Artur Pawlowski, I'm probably even saying his name wrong. Like, I don't even really know much about him. I'm going to show a quick video of him. This was during the lockdown, our initial quarantine back in 2020 on Easter Sunday, and apparently, or around that time. So I'm going to show a quick video so you know who I'm talking about, and then we're going to keep going for it. So this is who the guy is.
Immediately get out. Get out of this property immediately. Out. I don't want to hear anything. Out of this property immediately. I don't want to hear a word. Out. Out.
So apparently the police have showed up during a service and he's kind of kicking them out, telling them, come back if you have a warrant. So this kind of goes on for a couple minutes, to be honest with you.
And don't come back without a warrant. Do not come back without a warrant. You understand that? You're not welcome here. Nazis are not welcome here.
So he ends up kicking the police out. From what I understand, 5 different times since 2020, he's been arrested just for really doing his job as a pastor, which I find quite disturbing. I do. I find it incredibly disturbing. And he did his job again. And I'm going to show that video and we'll just kind of cruise through it. I think Artur, he's Polish. So he's been through a lot of what we're seeing unfold in what we believed were free countries. Now we're realizing that might not be the case. So this is the last sermon he preached before he was arrested. So I'm going to try to show this as well.
Finally, they said, our children are worth fighting for. Yes. And they did it, and they took it to the streets, and they paralyzed the entire system. Yes, thousands were arrested. Yes, people were tortured and beaten. Yes. There is a price attached to freedom. How do you think the Second War ended? Millions had to die. How do you think the First War ended? Millions had to die. And that's the price that we have to be willing to pay if our children are going to have a free and democratic society.
Yeah, that's right.
This is our time. For 2 years, we have been dancing polka with them. For 2 years, we have been trying our best to reason with the villains. But I know villains. See, bully will never stop bullying. He will keep stealing from you all the time. They have big appetites, those greedy dogs. You have power now. Don't give it away.
I agree.
The eyes of the world again are here on this little border. And the world is watching you. Will you give in? Will you stop fighting? Will you stop defending the rights of the free Canadians?
No.
And now you have some, for whatever reason, just before we are going to get our freedom, are telling you give up. Right before thousands of people that are willing to come to support you. Now you're going to abandon them. What are you going to say? Oh, we've changed our plans? No. What are you going to say to those today and yesterday? No. Every single minute, I got thousands of messages.
Okay, so I'm going to pause it there, and I'm just going to skip ahead to closer to the end here.
Our officials, they were appointed. Yeah. We have no say in democracy anymore. We've lost democracy. Canada is not a democratic nation anymore. And if those 2 years didn't show you that, then you must be blind. Yeah. Exactly. We need our country back. How are you going to get your country back? If you're not going to stand up, stand up. Yeah. And thousands are coming to help you. That's right. To stand up. Yeah. Be blessed. Right.
Amen. Okay, so that was the sermon, and then I believe it was just a few days later. This is Artur.
Okay, don't play these games for your videos.
He
Okay?
was,
You can just stand up.
I guess on his
you do this every time you just go dead fish on us. Just stand up.
And he's being
Don't get up! He's a preacher! What's wrong with you?
He's not moving.
What's wrong with you? What's wrong with you, you nuts? What? What's wrong with you? What back off? This is a clergyman!
Get out of the way.
So that's his brother, and you just can kind of see they took him away. And so yeah, as I was watching that, I'm like, I don't think he's going to be on the show this week. Or this week, I guess that was last week. And then I guess the most disturbing thing that I have to say about this whole incident is then his son and brother released this video. As I guess it's been about 3 days ago, and I'm just going to play a little bit of that.
My name is Artur Pawlowski. I am the brother of Pastor Artur Pawlowski.
And I'm Nathaniel Pawlowski, the son of Pastor Artur Pawlowski. As you are aware, Pastor Artur has been arrested yet again for doing his job as a pastor. He was arrested on February the 8th for giving a speech on February the 3rd at the Coutts trucker blockade on the border of Alberta and Montana. He went there to deliver a sermon, Lord's Supper, and to pray with them. He simply wanted to do his job as a pastor and give them hope. Art was arrested for mischief over $5,000, interrupting the operation of essential infrastructure in a manner that renders it inoperable, and breaching his bail condition of not keeping the peace from his arrest back in September at the airport after returning from the States. All these charges are in relation to his speech at the lodge in Coutts, Alberta at the trucker border blockade. They claim he is responsible for the border blockage. He has received hundreds of tickets and appeared in courts hundreds of times. This is his 15th arrest and 5th since the start of the pandemic. All for doing his job as a pastor, not for committing actual crimes.
Artur just finished 3 days of Esther's fast and has begun 21 days of Daniel's fast. The first one is to expose the enemy's corruption, and the second is to get an answer from God. We all need for God to intervene more than ever. We are doing the same fast as Pastor Artur, so please, we would love you to join with us. Let's cry out to God together. When it comes to the condition.
Okay, so I'm not going to play all the video. Anyway, they just kind of go on to talk about the conditions that he's in right now in the jail there in Canada. And apparently he went 2 days with no water. There's no running water where he is. He's in solitary confinement. It sounds pretty brutal. And all for just this guy doing his job. So it's so concerning. I know a flyer went out a few days ago about showing up to go to the consulate here or wherever you were at. I'm here in the Atlanta area. So I went yesterday to the Canadian consulate, and I was like, I guess I'm going to show up and talk about, see what we can do to help this pastor out. And I figured it was kind of ironic because it was the time that he was supposed to be on the show yesterday. I was down there. just trying to be an ambassador for freedom, because I feel like I never kind of woke up to what was going on. I kind of heard of this guy, like I said at the beginning of the pandemic, kind of that pastor guy that was just like, whoa, fire. Um, God, he's had a lot of passion. I was like, kind of in passing. And then just to see how things have progressed with this trucker convoy. So I really wanted to just kind of have him on the show to kind of talk about how things were. And obviously, we can't have him on the show right now because he's in jail. But I'm going to put the link to this video because it doesn't seem like he's being treated fairly. So that was quite interesting, just to see all that. And yeah, so I'm really just going to get on here today to talk a little bit about this Freedom Convoy. Um, when I went yesterday to talk to the lady at the Canadian consulate, she was like, "Oh, that anti-vax thing happening in Canada." And I was like, this is really not an anti-vax versus vax situation, because I believe there's people who are both wrapped up in it. It's more or less, this is about stopping the mandates. And I'm amazed at how little of the truth is getting out there. I shouldn't be appalled, but I am, in a sense of, one, not a lot of people know about it, and two, what they do know about it is not really what it's about. And if you've been following the convoy at all, they declared martial law a few days ago. I think it's been two. I think we're going on day 2 now. Basically, the government has access to their bank accounts, can freeze those that are involved. And the way they talk about it is it's as if it's this crazy protest. And I had to go digging deep. I have to go on Telegram or other apps to truly find footage of what it looks like there in Ottawa. And it's nothing, from what I see, but peace-loving truckers who are saying, we're tired of this. And I think why it's caught my attention so much, it affects, it's not just Canadians that are affected by these mandates. It's across the board. I mean, this is happening in all the nations, all over the world, that are being forced to comply to taking a vaccine that not everybody is on board with. And that should be a choice. And all of a sudden, we don't have choices anymore. And I think people deep down are frustrated and upset. And I have such a heart for this because I know I've done a lot of research in the last couple of years about coronavirus and about treatments and therapeutics. And unfortunately, not a lot of people know there's other ways you can treat coronavirus besides a vaccine. And there's people out there. I have friends, they can't even take a vaccine because of health things that they already have. Like, there are people and that just aren't on board for one reason or another, but they shouldn't be forced. And I really feel like this is a battle of freedom. And I don't think this is just a Canadian issue, because if it was, then I wouldn't be seeing this breakout in Australia, UK. Like, this is global. Globally, people are done being told that they have to take these vaccines in order to grocery shop, work. I mean, it's unbelievable. And if we think in the United States that we're protected because maybe it hasn't hit us yet, I think it's a matter of time. I mean, we just let military go if they didn't want to vaccinate. It's like, I think they're changing some things. Maybe they see that it's coming and that we're not going to stand for that. But I'm pretty upset about the lack of awareness on this whole thing. So, like I said, I'm just here today. I wanted to just chat a little bit about that. I want to wake people up, like, do some research, because the truth is never, from what I've seen, you have to dig for the truth. Like, if you were to lose your phone right now, I guarantee you go digging around your house till you found it. It's like, that's how you got to look for the truth these days. You got to search intently for it. If you just expect it to be laying out in the open, it's just not. I'm telling you, evil is out there and it's doing everything it can to take the truth and suppress it. So I just wanted to call awareness to what's going on with the Pastor Arthur. And let people know. I mean, this is real. And unfortunately, um, I'm concerned that if we don't start calling awareness to this and people um, having podcasts going live, I'm not quite sure where things are headed. But I do want to kind of encourage with some words of encouragement as I kind of wrap things up here today. Um, I just want to encourage people to stand up right now. And I think God has given us free will. Like, it is inside of every single one of us, this desire to be free. And if you don't stand up and say something now, maybe this isn't your battle. Maybe you're like, I don't really care. I think the vaccines work and all, and that is great. But you have to understand that not everybody wants it. And it should be a right for somebody to choose. And you have to see the segregation that's happening. You have to see how this is dividing us. One more thing to divide people. And wake up that there are alternatives out there, that there are different ways to treat this virus. And my prayer is that people wake up to that. I know the way we can stand up and fight against this is resisting. The Bible says the enemy prowls around like a roaring lion, and that we are called to resist that. So, and the way I know we're resisting now is by standing up and by letting our voices be heard. Every protest that I saw come out of Canada was peaceful. There were children, there was music, there was food. It was a celebration of freedom. And not just Canada. I'm seeing it all across the board. I've had to dig deep to find all this, but these are peaceful protests. And unfortunately, they're being painted in a light that it's everything but that. So I encourage people, go dig. You got to look for the truth. The Bible calls us to fight, but we don't fight with weapons that the world offers. The weapons we fight with have the power to demolish strongholds. And we take all these lies captive and we bring them to light. Truth sets free. And I just want to encourage all of us that believe that this is a real battle for freedom, that we need to start praying. We need to start taking this to God and asking God to come and help us, because this is a real fight right now of good and evil. And I just want to encourage another thing the Bible talks about, the warfare that we're in, is that we have to stand firm and that we have to put on the full armor of God with the helmet of salvation, the breastplate of righteousness, the shield of faith, the sword, which is the Spirit, which is the word of God, that we have to take our stand against these lies, against this evil. And it's real. And, when you see what I see, when you see good people just saying, hey, let us just have our freedoms, our God-given freedoms, and they're being painted as terrorists in their own country. Listen, I believe this has already happened on American soil. I believe there's a lot of stuff that they've painted to be untrue that is true. And I want to close with one more scripture. It's in Proverbs 31. It's verse 8. It says, speak up for those who cannot speak for themselves, for the rights of all who are destitute. Speak up and judge fairly. Defend the rights of the poor and the needy. And, I think right now is a time that we need to speak up for those that can't speak for themselves. And this isn't a time to be silent. This isn't a time to say, well, that's not my battle. That doesn't affect me. Because I promise you, this war on our freedoms at some point will affect you. And until you stand up and say, this isn't right, having our freedoms taken away is not right, suppressing truth, calling it misinformation constantly, wake up. And if you think everything I'm saying is a bunch of bull, I ask you, please spend time praying and fast and ask God, what's the truth in all this? You've got to seek the truth. And, I want to be wrong. I hope I'm wrong. I'd love to be wrong. But that's my dog. But I believe we have a real battle on our hands. And the one thing I could say is God fights with us. He fights for us. And many times when his children have been in real battles, they cried out to God. and God would cause the enemies to turn on each other, and God would show up and start fighting for his children and their freedoms. And I just want to encourage, if you're a believer, now's the time to pray for God to show up and help us with this battle, because it's real and it's on. So anyway, that's really what I came on to share today. I'm praying that this the pastor gets released soon. My eyes are on Canada. My eyes are on this freedom convoy, and it affects all of us. And I just hope and pray that people wake up and start paying attention. You may need to go on different networks besides YouTube and all the mainstream ones. I think you need to go dig on Telegram, GETTR, go somewhere else and just start doing your own digging and reach out to those people that might be in your circle that can help you with that. So anyway, that's all I've got for today. That's my dog. He wants to get in. He's whining. Oh, it's a beautiful sound. Just kidding. Anyway, that's kind of a heavy show. Usually we get on here and have fun with different comedians and stuff, but I'm just concerned. I'm concerned right now, and I'm not gonna sit back while these salt of the earth truckers who basically sparked a global revolution are the only ones fighting. I'm gonna fight alongside. I identify now as a Canadian trucker, and I support freedom, and I support this global movement for all of us to have our rights given back to us. And nobody should be told they can't go somewhere, do something, or be a part of something because they've chosen an alternative route. And there are. And if you only have people in your circle right now that believe one way, that's concerning, because I'm telling you, you better have people that have diversity in your circle. And I know I have that, and I know I need that to stay balanced. But if you only have one side in your circle, I don't care if it's the side I believe in, you need to have some diversity in your circle. You want to have people that see things and feel things differently. But this fight for freedom, that's universal. So anyway, that's all I got. I'm Jennifer O'Brien. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.